7:54 right now on this Tuesday. A politician takes on a former military hero in a defamation lawsuit. Attorney Peter Vogel handles cases like that with the Dallas law firm of Gardner, Wynn and Sewell. So we're talking about the suit by former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura against the estate of the late Navy SEAL sniper Chris Kyle. And it's in Minnesota in federal court. She, the widow, tried to have it moved down here, thinking she would get a more sympathetic hearing in Texas than she would in Minnesota.
Well, not such an easy thing to move. In federal court, I mean, one of the issues is the book was distributed all over the United States, so you could bring a lawsuit wherever somebody was wronged, and Jesse Ventura thought he was wronged in his native St. Paul, Minnesota.
Now,
so
Jesse Ventura, a public figure, and when if you say something, even if it's not true, about a public figure, Jesse Ventura chose to be a public figure by running for public office. Pretty high standard for defamation.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, just 50 years ago this year, the United States Supreme Court ruled in a case called New York Times versus Sullivan, where a sheriff in an Alabama town felt like he was being besmirched by an advertisement in the New York Times. And ultimately, they ruled that you have to have a very high standard. If somebody is going to be a public official, they need to be ready that someone in the public under the First Amendment can say anything they want about them. And different than you and I, they're just walking down the street, you know, common folks. If someone wants to run for office, they change the standard. And the standard is very high, as the court ruled recently in this case, getting ready for trial.
And that would be true as well for a celebrity, someone who chooses to be a movie star or an actor or something like that. Sometimes people are going to say unflattering things, and sometimes those things they say are not going to be true. That's part of life when you're a celeb.
It is, but the measure of the slander and the libel and all is if there's a grain of truth in it, maybe it's not so bad, and that's why 12 people have to make that decision about whether or not they think there was truth.
Now, what Chris Kyle said in his book was that he got into an argument with some guy that he didn't name, didn't say Jesse Ventura,
right,
and decked the guy, cold-cocked him. Later it came out, well, maybe this was Jesse Ventura. Okay, it definitely was Jesse Ventura. And Ventura says, never happened. Never happened. You owe me money.
Well, one thing is he has to prove it never happened. I don't know how he's going to do that.
How do you prove something did not happen, especially when the person who made the allegation is now deceased?
In a bar in 2006, right, there was a fight. How often are there fights in bars? Anywhere. And so, as a matter of fact, I think even that evening some of the people testified there were fights. It was a matter of who was in them. So I don't know how a jury's going to be persuaded that it didn't happen.
Right. She tried to get the lawsuit dismissed, and there are a lot of people who were sympathetic to her, and this was portrayed as Jesse Ventura suing the poor widow of Chris Kyle. That's not exactly the case.
Well, no. He's suing to get damages from the proceeds of the book and also the movie that is in production right now. So I think it's a little more complicated. Plus, isn't this an opportunity for Jesse Ventura to have some more ink, be on the headlines? I mean, that's kind of what he likes, isn't it?
But he faces a pretty high hurdle. If you were sitting on this jury and Jesse Ventura came in against Chris Kyle, it's going to be a tough one to prove that this really was defamation and that damages resulted from the defamation.
Well, yes, I think that's true. I've actually served on a jury before, and my sense is it's the collective wisdom of the 12 people there. It isn't one person, because any one person may be influenced by testimony, right, by what other people on the jury have to say or what they think about it. And it's not always so easy to figure out exactly what a jury's going to do. Actually, the House odds, my experience, are 50-50 anyway.
Right. Right. And we should mention just really quickly that Chris Kyle, before his death, did make a videotape deposition that undoubtedly will appear in court as well. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.